Hi Aries, and welcome to your February 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us, which is normally 10 cards, but you got a couple extra cards that came out. And then we have 2 oracle cards and a mudra card to go through at the end, so quite a bit to get to. Before we get started, I will say, just looking at the spread, this has a pretty big career vibe from me. We'll see if that's the way it plays out as we go along. But yeah, it really wasn't getting like relationship vibes or anything. This just feels primarily all career related. Just to give you a heads up there. All right. In the main situation position, we have the Seven of Wands. So this is a card that points to conflict in some ways, or competition, if nothing else. But the way that I usually describe the card is, if there is a competition, you would have the upper hand, right? So if we look, we see 6 wands down there. From the look of this person's stance and their facial expression, it certainly looks like those people aren't trying to greet them in a friendly way, right? But if you look, they have the higher ground, right? So that gives them the vantage point to help take on those challenges a bit easier. And if we look at the astrology to see what this could be about, at the time I'm recording this, we're going to have that eclipse coming right in about a day or so in the sign of Leo, but it's going to be squaring Uranus in your sign. So see, the way that works is you might think, oh, well, if Uranus is in Aries and, the full moon is in Leo, that should be supportive energy, right? Because they're both fire energies. But the thing is, Uranus is so close to the sign of Taurus again, it's moving towards Taurus, and the full moon is going to be at 0 degrees Leo. So that's still going to be a position of tension. And then with that, Uranus will also be squaring the sun, because the full moon basically is the sun and moon are exactly opposite each other. So it's going to be squaring the sun. That's basically technically would be considered in your 11th house, but it's at 0 degrees, so it could definitely still be pointing to a 10th house connection. Not to mention, before that full moon happens, that aspect is already in play too. So if nothing else, it's going to start in your 10th house, that energy. So that's what makes me think this could be some kind of issues in your work life. But then the other thing going for you is you have Mars in your sign, of course. And then, so even though it will be squared by Saturn, which is a pretty tough aspect to deal with, you also have Jupiter trining Mars in your sign. So, that might give you that supportive energy. This is usually the way I view this energy is the Sun and Jupiter coming together. But, at the same time, I just think that with that Jupiter energy infused there, it's going to give you the upper hand if you are facing some challenges in your career. And in the challenger obstacle position, we have the 9 of Cups. So to me, this could be pointing to, usually this is referred to as a wish card, but to me, this could just be saying that you're fighting in general, towards your goals. You're really trying to get your goals achieved. As we've mentioned in previous readings, you guys had Mars, which is your ruler, pretty much retrograde and making some difficult aspects, more or less the entire second half of last year. And, with that ending, with it moving through the sign of Pisces, and then right as January started, it moved into your sign. So, you might have just felt like you were just re-energized at that point and finally able to tackle all those things you wanted to get done, but maybe they were just getting blocked in some way, shape, or form. So that's mainly what that energy represents to me. You know what I mean? We could even look at that as each of these is a month from last year, right? Like July, August, September, October, November, December. And now this is you with January. Like, good. Finally, I have the energy to tackle all those things that I wanted to get to last year, but they just weren't panning out for me at the time. But yeah, this could just be saying that again, like I said, if it could just be you might feel opposed at work. Maybe you have some ideas that you're trying to get off the ground that you feel would be a big benefit to you, and you just might feel like people aren't really agreeing with you. And especially like I said, you have at the time I'm recording this, there's basically going to be that square between Mars and Saturn, and then in the first week of February, pretty much right when February kicks off, you're going to have Mars being squared by Pluto in your 10th house. So those could be some pretty intense transits that'll have you feeling like you're blocked in some way in that area of life. They should last about a week each, tops. So there's that at least. So they're not like real long term transits, but in those moments, they'll feel pretty intense, I'm sure. So that's what I think is going on there. In the foundation position, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So this could just be you reviewing, maybe you feel like you have put in a lot of work, right? Like, am I seeing the results from it? And like I said, this definitely feels like more of a temporary thing. I'm pretty sure I emphasized in the January reading for you guys that just feeling the Mars energy come back into your sign after all those retrogrades and, going through Pisces, which Mars through anyone's 12th house can be tough, but especially for you guys since it's your ruler. So, this could just be you reevaluating, thinking to yourself, all right, I've put in a lot of work here. I still have more to go. Is it even worth it? But it could, like I said, those two energies, the Pluto and Saturn square, those are pretty intense energies. So, I'm not going to downplay that. So it could have you feeling a bit defeated in a certain way. But just keep in mind that those are pretty short-term transits, and especially when you compare the fact that, your ruler was doing so many things through, like I said, the second half of last year that maybe that almost got you accustomed to feeling that way. Like you're always going to have to fight for something really hard. And, now that you have that energy, you might just feel like you have to go, go, go. But we'll see as we go along. In the past position, we have the Eight of Swords. And to me, I would definitely say that this is pointing to what we've already talked about, which was in the past, with all those things that your ruler was doing, you might have just felt like you were stuck, like everything you wanted to get off the ground, everything you wanted to get done, you just felt like you couldn't get the forward momentum going to do it. But again, this is in the past position, so like I said, even though this could be playing out not in as much of a negative way as I might have made it sound initially. Could just be saying that, again, this is you having the energy to take on all those things that you needed to get done and just felt like you didn't have the energy to do it before. Now you finally do. So yeah, I don't think that's like a huge issue there. I just think that that's mainly pointing to the way you were feeling leading up to the recent months. All right, and in the present position, we have the Ace of Wands and the Moon card. So, to me, these two cards together point to, like I said, I'm recording this right before that full moon eclipse in Leo, which would be your fifth house, which the fifth house is often about creativity. Sometimes it's love as well. Sometimes it has to do with children. But with the Ace of Wands and the Moon together, that has me feeling like there's something that you're trying to get off the ground as far as a creative project or just starting anything new. This could be a new routine that you're trying to get started. Like I said, with the aces, it's usually not that it's tangibly playing out. It could just be an idea that you have right now, and maybe with that full moon you get the boost to do so, or maybe at the full moon you get the clarity as to, okay, how do you want to approach it. So, even though this is present energy supposed to be for February, since it's February reading, this could just be playing out as this is the present energy at the time we're recording. And then when I post this video, this could be what you're feeling. And I mean, plus, if it's, when it's an eclipse, you could feel the effects for that for about 2 weeks after. Some even say up to 6 months after, but that's usually only if you have a really tight aspect. So, like for those of you who are just born in the first few degrees of Aries, you might definitely feel it a bit more. Whereas those of you born, let's say, the middle towards the end of Aries, you wouldn't feel it as strongly. But yeah, this just looks like something that you're ready to get off the ground, and maybe that's what that conflict is about too. Like I said, you just might feel like you're not getting the support that you would have expected to get for it. And regarding the moon, some people say that this is a card referring to deception. I don't usually view it that way unless it comes up in reverse. When it's in the upright, I see it more of like, you're not seeing the full picture, right? Like the landscape isn't as lit up as it normally would be, so you just might have to rely on feeling things out a bit more rather than everything right out in the open for you. Like, let's say if the sun card was there. Everything that would be out on the ground at night is the same thing that's there when the sun is out, but you just feel a lot more confident in what you're seeing when the sun is out because it's illuminated more, basically. All right, in the near future position, we have the Five of Swords. So, this to me usually refers to ego battles. These are the types of conflicts that you go into where both parties, or all parties, if there's more than two people, all parties know that nothing productive is really going to come out of it, but you still go through it anyway. You know what I mean? So that's why it's usually referred to as petty ego battles. Given that this is looking right at that, I still think that this is all still tied into the career situation. And again, like I said, this could just be pointing to, like, let's say this is the Saturn and Mars square that we talked about that's happening around the time I'm recording this. And then this being the near future, this could be pointing to that Pluto and Mars square that you guys are going to have going on in your 10th house. Pluto is often about control. So, maybe you feel like someone in the workplace is trying to be too controlling with you, and maybe that's where the conflict comes from. Like I said, if that's the case, do keep in mind that yes, Saturn and Pluto are going to be in Capricorn for a while. Pluto's already been there for years, and Saturn's going to be there for about another year and a half. So that's energies that are going to be there, but they won't be in the forefront as much as they are when Mars in general makes a square aspect to them, but especially when Mars is your ruler and it's in your signs. You might really just feel it during those times. But like I said, they're about a week apiece, those transits, so, shouldn't be able to derail anything major. And if nothing else, there's a message to support that because your influence in a situation, you have the Six of Wands. So to me, this shows that you would be victorious anyway, regardless of what the conflict is. You know, Generally speaking, this is a Leo card for me, the middle 10 degrees of Leo, so that's not really pointing to the eclipse for me per se. But at the same time, that's just how I view it. It's like you're going to be victorious. Whatever these challenges are that you're facing, you do still have Mars in your sign until about the middle of February. So, and like I said, that should be the last real tense aspect that you'll have is when it's squared by Pluto. And that's, like I said, it starts around maybe the 2nd or 3rd of February and goes to maybe the end of that week. So, it's not going to be a real long-term thing. So maybe you feel like after you slay those dragons, right, you get through that first week of the month, and you start to feel like, all right, cool, I overcame these, challenges, whatever they may have been, and you're good to move forward. And the influence, the position of the environment's influence wherever, we have the Hierophant card. This is the major arcana card for Taurus. So, I mean, is it possible that some of you are dealing with a Taurus? Yeah, it could be. I often view this as just pointing to any type of big organization as well. So this could just be pointing to, for those of you who work in a big corporation, for example, and maybe you've been feeling like you've been getting blocked in that area of life. Or this could just be pointing to the fact that your ruler will be moving into the sign of Taurus around mid-month. And either way, if this is finances that the issue is, when you get Mars moving into your second house, that should help you to tackle issues related to finances as well. So it could just be pointing to a timing thing. At the time I'm recording this, I think Venus and Mars were just wrapping up a trine. So, if we think about the fact that Taurus is ruled by Venus, it was in Sagittarius trining your Mars in your sign, so that could be what that's pointing to as well. Maybe saying that it gave you a bit more of a harmonious aspect to deal with these issues, but I'm really just feeling that it's pointing to A, you're either dealing with a big organization, and or B, it's just pointing out the fact that your ruler will be shifting to the sign of Taurus, and that's where your focus will shift around mid-month. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Page of Swords. So this could just be saying, the way I usually look at the Page of Swords, or any page for that matter, it's like, you start with the ace and then you go through the rest of those cards till you get to 10, and you have the page energy. And it's like they're not quite the knight, the king, or the queen yet. It's like, all right, you have that energy now. It's in your possession, right? In this case, the sword. But if you look at them, they don't look too overly confident with it, right? It's like they have one foot in, one foot out. It doesn't look like a very confident stance, the way that they're holding that, right? If this was an actual conflict that they were going to face, that doesn't look like the best way to be going about it. So, some of you could just be nervous about this conflict for whatever reason. Maybe all of those, like I said, the energy that you were dealing with last month, maybe has you feeling a bit gun shy. Um, but like I said, all the indicators I'm seeing here is that yes, there will probably be some conflict, most likely in the workplace, and the astrology supports that as well. Um, but I mean, there's also cards pointing to you definitely being victorious. Obviously, the Six of Wands here. At the bottom of the deck is the Justice card. So if there has been some injustice in that regard, you should definitely see things get balanced out in that regard. So seems pretty solid overall. I know you guys, if anyone could handle some conflicts, it's you guys, especially finally having Mars back in your sign. So, but yeah, maybe you just find that once Mars leaves your sign and goes into Taurus, it's free from those squares from Saturn and Pluto. You might just feel a little bit more relaxed at that point. Like, all right, cool, I made that push. I got Mars in my sign in January. I pushed real hard for a month and a half, got a lot done, feeling accomplished, right? That's that Six of Wands energy. Okay, let me lay back for a minute now. And the sun will be moving into Pisces towards the end of February too. So, the sun in anyone's 12th house, that it usually is a time to take it easy a bit. Try to plan for what your next year is going to be about. And then when the sun comes into your sign, towards the end of March, you'll really feel another push. So maybe that's what this is saying, that get a lot of these things out of the way and done now so you could take some relaxation and then make another push towards the end of March. Because in the outcome position, the first card that we see here is the Four of Swords. So to me, that definitely supports that, saying, okay, keep making that push. There might be some things you have to wrap up. And at some points, it might be a bit tense, but you get through those things. Mid-month, Mars will move out of your sign. A week after that, the sun will move into your 12th house. So that might be that 1 month cushion where, maybe you could rest up a bit, regather your energy, and then sun comes back into your sign, you'll get that push again. So yeah, we have the Four of Swords, the Ace of Cups, the Hangman, and the Wheel of Fortune. So, I mean, all of these cards together paint a somewhat clear picture to me, even though they seem a little weird altogether. Like I said, I'm really getting the vibe that it's saying, you make your push, you get all these things done towards the end of the month. You're taking the advice there of, okay, sun's going to be in the 12th, Mars is out of my sign, I got a lot of things done that I felt like I couldn't get done last year, right? Feeling good, made some progress. You take a bit of a rest. Maybe you get some ideas for, again, going back to, you had the Ace of Wands here. This could be, again, more ideas that you get regarding, could be creativity. For some of you, this could definitely be a new love offer on the table as well. And for some of you as well, it could also be pregnancy. So maybe when that eclipse happens in your 5th house, maybe that brings that about for some of you. Then the Hangman, this is actually a card of Pisces, the major arcana card for Pisces, at least for me. Some people say it's the moon. I look at the Hangman as the Pisces card. And then the Wheel of Fortune. So to me, that just lines up to say, it, by all means, it looks like it's encouraging you here to say, by all means, do what you have to get done now. If you do have to make those pushes. I already warned you guys about a couple of, small pockets where you might feel that tense aspect, where you might feel a bit blocked, but you could keep pushing through. You'll feel victorious, get some time to rest up, halfway through the month and maybe through at least a decent chunk of March. Maybe some new ideas come to you or new offers come your way. You take some time to think of things from a different perspective, which is often what we do. Sun in the 12th house, we tend to reflect on what was and what will be. And then Wheel of Fortune says, all right, you go through that process. Things will work in your favor. You'll feel the wheels turning once again. All right. So we have 2 oracle cards to look at. So let me pull the first one up. And we have Breathed. There's the artwork for it, and it's number 29. So again, that seems to support what the outcome is saying there. But we'll see what the actual messages are in the book. All right, it says patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness, meditation, trust. The Oracle's message: patience in all things is called for right now. What do you need to do when you're in a rush? Slow down, of course. Meditate and trust. Breathe and repeat. Humans cannot exist without drawing breath. Now is the time to allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body, your being, and your very essence. Stop to smell the roses, breathe in the sunlight, and release the darkness, and miracles will appear. Like I said, I got very little relationship vibes from this spread, but for those of you, if you did see this as a relationship reading in some way, or if you're looking for some guidance there, the relationship message says, don't be in too much of a hurry right now. The heart needs time to open. Take a breath and let nature take its course. Release constriction and anxiety, for there is no need for tension. Savor the moment, and the waiting won't prove difficult. Your heart knows what the ego often resists learning. Patience pays off in deep and meaningful ways. So, I will say though, if we are looking at a relationship dynamic, having the Justice card at the bottom of the deck, the Hierophant in the environment position, that can point to long-standing commitments, and then you feeling in that Six of Wands energy, that could say that even if maybe there is some kind of a fight that you might have with your romantic partner, it looks like things will be fine. Might just have to give it a little time. The prosperity message says you have worked long and hard, your dreams are coming to fruition, and you want to hurry things along. You are the slow one, moving languidly, yet still progressing right now, in a rhythm dictated by your authentic nature, the essence of your dream, and the will of the universe. Slow and steady wins the race. You will indeed win if you relax, stay the course, trust your intuition, and breathe. So, like I said, for me, I don't think that it's saying overall that you need to, just because, like I said, the energy of the main spread does seem to support that you could still push forward. It looks like you will almost be forced to, if nothing else, with the Seven of Wands energy there. But, you'll still have that energy to push forward. I think that that's saying that once you get that stuff done and out of the way, then that's when it's the time, like I said, because the astrology would definitely support that, where, towards the end of the month, you could relax a little bit, unwind, gather yourself. So, if you do really feel you need to push through with something, the first couple weeks of the month might be the best time to do so. All right, and then we have another oracle card here, and this is from the Spirit Animal Oracle, and you got Moth Spirit. It says surrender now, and there's the artwork for it, and the number is 39. All right, we'll look at the message for that. It says, Moth Spirit asks, what is guiding you right now? Are you in alignment with Spirit, or pursuing something or someone with so much tenacity that it has become a compulsion or addiction? Are you so intoxicated by a potential relationship or opportunity that you can't think straight? Hard work and dedication are virtues, and love, of course, is a beautiful thing. However, when moth spirit appears, it is time to consider if you have gone over the edge in a relentless pursuit. Workaholism, overeating, perfectionism, or addiction to certainty or even to a person may be your current vice. The form of your addiction does not matter so much as awareness of the consequences of remaining persistent when moderation is needed. Let go of your excess energy by channeling it in more than one direction. The fire burns hot, and you do not want to be engulfed by your passion to the exclusion of all the other pursuits that matter to you. Now is the time for surrender and radical acceptance so that your drive does not cause you to flee or fight. Spirit wants you to release your need for certainty and control so that you can relax into a more balanced way of using your moth spirit energy. Banish the shoulds and must so that you can enjoy what is as you allow for what might be. Okay, so that's another card that seems to be pointing to saying take your foot off the gas, and maybe it's even saying a little bit earlier than I'm thinking, because if this is the main energy, the Seven of Wands, like I said, is having the upper hand, and obviously we have the Six of Wands there. It shows a sign of victory. But maybe it's saying when you feel yourself getting involved in this energy, where either you or the other person or people are starting to get a bit petty, where okay, whereas with this at least, I feel with the Seven of Wands type conflict, there can be positive progress made there. Whereas with this, like I said, it's more of an ego petty thing where nothing productive is going to come out of it. So maybe it's saying, okay, it's fine to push through that challenge, but maybe around especially with this being the near future position too, that could be pointing to the mid-month timeline, saying that when you get to that point, if you feel something petty coming along, try to withdraw from that, go into that Four of Swords energy, rather than moving forward into that Five of Swords energy. Let things play out, and then we see the Wheel of Fortune in the outcome there. So that could be what that's pointing to as well. I hadn't really picked up on that initially, but that could make sense, definitely. All right, and lastly, we'll look at the mudra card. So for those of you who don't know, last month I started pulling mudra cards for each of the signs. And basically what a mudra is it's a gesture or a pose that you make with your hands. Usually you hold them for 5 minutes. Some of them they could say a half hour, 45 minutes. That to me, especially if you're not used to meditating, it could be a bit of overkill. So see if you could at least commit to 5 minutes, especially if the use that this particular one has for you resonates with what you're going through right now. The keyword for this one is integration. And I'll hold up the back of the card so you guys can screenshot or pause the video to get a bit more info on it. Okay, and if we look here for the benefits, it says activates the body's self-healing potential, increases suppleness, improves concentration, generates feelings of devotion and compassion. And this is the Matsya mudra. I'll show you the actual gesture one more time if you guys wanted to take a look at that. And I'll put it in the description as well in case you wanted to, do a Google search for it if you wanted more info on it, or maybe even look on YouTube. They probably have videos about it as well. All right. So we'll wrap up there, guys. If you want a personal reading, you could check out the About section of my channel for more info on how to do that. You could also follow me on Instagram where we have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology there. But if not, I'll see you guys next month. All right. Bye.